Hello, everyone, and welcome to this special episode of the Oracle Scroll. I'm recording this on March 28th, 2020, where we're either at the beginning or in the middle of a shelter-in-place order that says we really should not be leaving home unless we have absolute good reasons to be doing so. We're still allowed to shop for groceries, but not much else. Bars, restaurants, etc. are closed. This has caused a lot of unsettled feelings among everyone. The entire populace is a little upset. Not because we're having to stay home so much as we don't have a clue as to how long this might last or any of any other outcomes that might be possible. So I've made this video to assist us in seeing what is happening around us in maybe a little different light that will help us to make more sense of it. So thank you for joining me today and enjoy this episode of the Oracle Scroll. Welcome to the Oracle Scroll. This is a new year, a new decade, and a new beginning. We have a new look and a new sound. So we appreciate you joining us today. I'm Kevin Walder, your host, and I will be joined by guests along the way as we assemble information on how we can make this our best life, how we can create the world we live in. Welcome back to the Oracle Scroll, Chapter 2. As I mentioned, this is a special episode, one designed to help us see our way through this difficulty that we're in with the pandemic, the global pandemic. And it's hit our local area quite hard. So we're in the middle of that fight. And it helps us sometimes to put things into perspective and understand where we are and why we are. The first step is to understand that history repeats itself. There are no exceptions to that rule. History repeats itself. And what we're involved in right now is very much like what happened at the beginning of the 20th century. Not this century, the one before. Okay, way back when our culture, our society was actually moving from agrarian interests only into an industrial way of life. Of course, having two world wars at the beginning of that century completely disrupted everything that was going on. No one had a clue what was going to come out, what was going to survive, and what was not going to survive. And that is precisely the position we find ourselves in. So we had the birth of the female workforce at that point in the 20th century. Those women who took the jobs that needed to be done because the men were all off in some theater of war. So there was no one to take their place. And then when the soldiers did return, those who did return, then the women were not willing to reassume their housewife kind of existence. They wanted to keep doing what they were doing. So the world, actually, the world and attitudes, everything changed and shifted immensely. And here we are. Most of us, or at least a lot of us, are very grateful for those changes because they've made life what we have today much different than, splitting wood and using an outdoor toilet. So there's a lot of things that have helped us as a culture as a result of this change. So that's where we need to look, is what shifts and changes could be very positive for us and coming out of this situation, whenever this situation ends. Because my feeling personally is this is just the beginning. And once this situation is over, there will be others that will come along and assist us in seeing our lives in a little different way. So we have to prepare for a future that may really not really look anything like our past. And that's okay, because we just have to learn how we're going to thrive in that future. As you know, most of you who know me, know that I kind of equate things to a tarot meaning. And I thought about this one long and hard. I'll admit I did not draw a card for this one. It was just the only card that made sense to me to describe the situation where we are right now. And that is the Tower. It represents our current position perfectly. Every established institution is collapsing. And I do mean every established institution is collapsing and will emerge totally transformed in something totally different than what we've ever experienced. This could be good or this could be challenging, so we have to decide how we're going to accept it. Now, the changes that come as a result of this tower energy, they are explosive, they are cataclysmic, they are just immense, but they are not necessarily catastrophic. Now, admittedly, there are some who will see this entire episode as catastrophic because the things they have built their lives upon will go away and they won't have a basis or a foundation any longer. And that's a very scary place for a human to find themselves. Change is very scary because of that. The unknown is something we don't want to deal with. So I have written in my book, 22 Teachers, I've written a little bit of a story about each of the participants, the 22 cards of the major arcana. And this particular card, the Tower, this is how I talked about the Tower in the first person. So I said, the Tower says that he tends to be a little forceful. So please, don't judge him at the beginning. Let's see how things work out and then decide exactly how we feel about the whole thing. And one of the quips that I put in is sometimes demolition is noisy work. Now, if we think about the energy of the Tower, I may be getting ahead of myself just a little here, but if we get about the energy of the Tower, it's a clearing and making room for energy. That is, if in our own neighborhood here in Western Washington, the best example I can think of is the demolition or the implosion of the Kingdom. It was a hideously ugly structure. It didn't really serve anyone particularly well, but it was kind of a landmark. But in order to update and upgrade and to build 2 new stadiums, that one had to go. And we had to clear that space. It was cataclysmic. There was a huge explosion, a huge cloud of dust and dirt, but that made room for something much better. So what are we going to focus on? Are we going to focus on the destruction or are we going to focus on the construction? And that is entirely up to us. That's the part that we play in this whole thing as far as our attitudes and the way we look at things in life. That's the part that we have control over, is how we accept, embrace, appreciate, or in any other way accept what is happening in our world. So the Tower is often, well, the imagery that's in the most decks harkens back to the biblical story of the Tower of Babel, where the tower was under attack and people were fleeing for their lives. and being systematically destroyed all around them. So it can make a scary scene. It's one of the cards that will be particularly misunderstood by a lot of people because they don't understand that there are two sides to every story, and for every action there's an equal reaction. And so when you get rid of something, something new moves in. And we're already experiencing that. Now, perhaps some of the stories that we have seen have been a bit inflated, but the fact remains that with the halt to much traveling and a lot of other businesses that have contributed to the, the global warming of climate change, let's say, I'm sorry, I didn't say that exactly right, but they've contributed to smog in our cities and so forth, where those things have come to a halt, nature has taken back the air, the water. It's moving in to heal itself. Okay, so there are some good things coming from the situation already. Unfortunately, there's a lot of bad things happening too, and we cannot assume that because we know better or we have some connection that we can intervene. There is nothing I can say and nothing anyone else can say that will save you from this virus if you contract it. It's entirely up to your body whether it's going to fight it off, and whatever treatment that you can participate in as well. But the fact remains that we're not going to change that. We're not going to change it with a prayer. We're not going to change it with a thought. We're going to have to take action. And at this point, action is just staying home. Action is total inaction. We don't have to do anything in particular, but limit our exposure and the way we expose others. So I have a theory that much of the apprehension and dread that so many feel in relation to this whole thing is largely self-inflicted. It's just an inappropriate overreaction. And that's the panic, the toilet paper shortage, the rice shortage. I don't understand. I mean, these are things that are not really connected to this particular virus. It's respiratory. It's pretty much all airways. So I go on to talk about the tower, and he admits clearly that his energy is chaotic, and sometimes it can make people, it can terrorize people and make them run in terrible fright. But it is just change. That's the main thing that's going on. The energy is just change. That's all. Your own mind, or our own mind, I'll put myself in there, I do this too. I have to live in the same world. So our own mind reacts to change with panic because it means that you're not presently in full control of everything going on around you. So that's what I mean when I say that sometimes these things are self-inflicted. So he goes on to talk about the fact that he's a little noisy and he's brash in his approach, but he's not the source of the apprehension. The source is within, and everybody sees it differently. So, and that probably is true, even in the example that I used of the implosion of the kingdom. Those who were quite fond of the institution may have found it to be quite distressing to see it taken away. Those who acknowledged the fact that it really wasn't a very pretty piece of architecture, saw it as a chance to beautify and improve. Okay? So it's all in how you look at it. I'm sorry I did not make notes on this, and I should have. But I watched a video a while ago. It was a survivor of Auschwitz extermination camp, a Jewish woman who was in the camp with her son. This is not a not a good place to be. But she had the talent, and she was an accomplished concert musician. I don't remember what she played, but she was recognized, and the commandant, the people in charge of the camp, pulled her aside, and they eventually allowed her to organize concerts for them. And she was allowed, because of this, to keep her son with her. The two of them actually were able to be rescued from Auschwitz alive. And her view of the whole thing, which is so unimaginable to me, so unimaginable, that situation, I mean, absolute hopelessness. But her view was, no, no, no. There's bad all around you, and you recognize that the bad's there. You know you can't avoid that. But focus on the good. Focus on what good is happening. And that's where we are right now. And it's forcing us to get acquainted with someone we hardly know, ourselves. So it's important to note that change can be destructive. Change, I mean, if you're going to replace your kitchen, you've got to rip out what's there, or there won't be, it'll look really silly when you put cabinets on top. So it's a cataclysmic change. It just means that, yeah, it's a mess, but what's coming in its place is going to be much, much better. And the tower energy, it is that energy as well. So that's what we have to understand, is that the energy is not just destructive, the energy is constructive as well. So what we need to do right now, rather than focus on the fact that, oh, I'm bored, or oh, I can't do this, or I can't see so and so. No, 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 no. Focus on what you're going to bring into the new situation. And admittedly, we do not know what that new situation might actually look like. A year from now, we don't know. So let's just take a few moments to understand that this is where we are, that we have that choice. We can actually choose to focus on the horror of the toilet paper being sold out, or there's no green beans, or there's no rice, or we can focus on, hey, I have everything I need right now. I even have the ability to help others if they are in need. So as long as I'm taken care of at this moment, all I need to do is start to figure out what it is I want to do. And you know what? Some of us are, for the first time, learning that we have the option of working from home, the option of perhaps even changing our career, our position, what we're going to be doing. So this is the time to use the 7 energy to creatively visualize exactly where you want to be when this situation resolves itself. So there's the human spirit. The human spirit is, oh boy, it's tender. The human spirit is indomitable. There are examples of people who, just like the woman that I talked about who survived the horrors of Auschwitz, that is a triumph of human spirit. But we can lose it just as quickly and just as easily. And a lot more of us, probably a larger percentage of us, fall into that category where we tend to see the negative. We tend to see the root of the problem rather than the opportunity that's being presented to us. Now, I have a theory about the fact that what we have right now in our community is something that we have to be very careful of. We cannot resort to assigning blame or assuming that people don't deserve the the respect of those who are not affected by this as dramatically, perhaps. There is such a thing as that is accepted by many groups around the world, the idea, the concept of a chosen people, a chosen race, a chosen religion, color, gender, orientation, anything that makes one group superior to others. And that completely drains any enlightenment from the situation and brings out the prejudice, judgment, and hatred that unfortunately is also part of the human experience. So we need to guard against that idea that we are somehow preserved because we are special in some way. We are not. We're just damn lucky. All right? So we have to learn not to judge other people. They are not responsible for this position that we find ourselves in. Now, there are some leadership people who have failed miserably, and I'm not going to go into a long list of them, but there is a long list of them that have failed miserably to prepare us or to assist us in combating this. Because most of us did not understand exactly what we were getting into when it's all started. So another card that I like in this position is the temperance card, the alchemy card. The temperance card, well, the word temperance is misunderstood a lot of times because it is really talking to us about that practice of tempering glass, tempering steel, making it stronger through basically what's torture. Uh, so the old saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, that is where we are with the temperance card. And that is our responsibility, is finding what it is we can put together from within. What do we possess? What talent, what ideals do we possess that we can put together that will create something that is far more valuable than anything that's being destroyed in front of us right now? So those are the things that I love to talk about, are the things that we have control of. We talk about the things that are going wrong, and so many of us have adopted the idea that there's nothing we can do. We just have to hang on. And to some extent, that may be true in some situations, that we are not in control. And that's okay too at this point in time. There will be plenty of time for us to regain control. But if we can focus and look in the mirror a couple of times a day and just acknowledge that we are, I am, I am, I am worthy, I am worth it, and I will be better when we come out of this situation. Those are the things we need to really concentrate our attention on. Focus on the good, because that's where our future lies. One way or the other, that's where our future lies. So, I'm going to wrap up this episode with that. Let's focus on the good that can come. And I am in no way, when I say that, I am in no way dismissing or diminishing what is happening in our world. The deaths are very real. We cannot ascribe them to any lack of faith or other thing that they brought on themselves. These are innocent people who had no idea they had come in contact. And now we're starting to see that that same infection rate and death rate spread to a younger population, those who are in the position of caregiving. So a great deal of our institution that we have set up as our government and the directing force in our lives is going to have to be reworked and rewired in order for our lives to return to any kind of normalcy in the future. That's where we come in. Let's put our imaginations to work and let's be helpful to anyone it's within our power to do that. I mean, we obviously are somewhat restricted ourselves, so, but let's be helpful to those we can, and encouraging always. So, folks, thanks a lot for listening today, and I hope this has helped. If you need to contact me, um, check me out at kevinwalder.com. You can also look at the Oracle Scroll on the Facebook app, and it will direct you to contact for me. So I appreciate I appreciate you stopping by today, and we will see you next episode. Bye bye. Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Oracle Scroll. Any questions, comments, or anything at all can be forwarded to us at theoraclescroll@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Also, you may check kevinwalder.com for any further information on the work of your host. And we appreciate you being with us and hope you will spread the word, let your family and friends know how much fun it is to attend the Oracle Scroll. See you next time.